John Solomon's reporting on Just the News that he's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get here?
I mean,
Yes.
Yes. Wow, right here, Rav, at this moment, guys. Let's go around the horn, Gino.
Look, I was genuinely interested when some people who were actually inside the room, people who were drawing a paycheck from Turning Point USA, reached out to me. They aren't just random accounts. They are former employees who are finally ready to burn the bridge. And look, before we dive into the deep end of this psychological rabbit hole, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. You're going to want to be here as we peel back the layers on this because the Christian conservative branding we've been sold is starting to look like a digital coat of paint over something much, much darker. And as we go through this, I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you noticed the vibes shifting at these events? Does the math add up to you? Let's get into it. The internet is absolutely spiraling because just when people thought the Erica Kirk conversation couldn't get any messier, a wave of whistleblowers has stepped forward to claim that the internal culture of TPUSA is the direct opposite of what they preach on stage. We're talking about allegations that make the family values platform look like a total front. Multiple former employees are now alleging that behind the scenes, senior members weren't holding Bible studies. They were using stripper vans to transport young, impressionable recruits to bars. They claim these recruits were pressured to drink excessively, followed by suspicious one-on-one interviews that felt more like grooming sessions than professional evaluations. It's the mind war in practice, breaking down the individual's defenses before the re-education begins. One whistleblower in particular, Joshua Peterson, is dropping bombs that have people questioning the very sovereignty of the organization. Peterson claims he was approached by individuals who identified themselves as Israeli agents, who had allegedly been embedded within the TPUSA infrastructure for years. If that sounds wild, just wait because it gets deeper. People are now looking at the board members, specifically Major General Paul E. Valley. Now, Valley isn't just a military man. He has documented ties to the late Michael Aquino. For those who don't know, Aquino was a literal Satanist, the founder of the Temple of Set, and a high-level psychological warfare expert who served as Valley's subordinate in the 7th PSYOP group. Together, Valley and Aquino co-authored a paper called From PSYOP to Mind War. I've studied this paper, and let me tell you, it is chilling. It advocates for moving beyond simple propaganda to mind war, using media, subliminal triggers, and non-lethal psychological pressure to shape the beliefs of a mass population until they accept your reality as their own. When you look at the core operational model of TPUSA, the constant media churn, the emotional triggers, the rapid-fire content, it mirrors the mind war philosophy to a T. It's not just a political group. It's looking more and more like a mass-scale psychological operation designed to capture the national mind. And people are starting to feel it. The public perception has shifted. Look at the reactions to recent events like AmeriFest 2025. People aren't coming away feeling inspired. They're coming away feeling unsettled. Attendees are describing the vibes as demonic, ritualistic, and sinister. And the centerpiece of it all? A literal replica of the Prove Me Wrong tent where Charlie Kirk was killed. They turned the assassination site of their founder into a selfie booth. Who does that? It didn't feel like a memorial. It felt like a ritual meant to anchor the audience in trauma, exactly as described in psych warfare manuals. Then there's Erica. People have been scrubbing her recent interviews, and her wording is peculiar, to say the least. She keeps repeating the phrase, "Once he was assassinated." Not after the tragedy, or since Charlie passed. It's once he was assassinated. To a lot of linguistic experts and skeptics online, it sounds anticipatory. It sounds like someone who was waiting for a milestone to be hit so the next phase of the mind war could begin. It doesn't sound like the reflective grief of a widow. It sounds like the mission briefing of a successor moving the pieces on a board. The symbolism at these events is also starting to scream at us. People noticed the use of 33 stars in a recent logo. Now, in the world of the occult and secret societies, 33 is a number of massive significance, representing the highest degree of the great work. Combine that with imagery that suspiciously resembles pentagrams hidden in the stage geometry, and you have to ask, what God are they actually serving? Even the TPUSA faith events are being criticized by the very Christians they're meant to attract. Attendees say the atmosphere is disturbing, focused on cold political loyalty and armed security rather than genuine spirituality. They're using the pulpit to launch attacks on critics like Candace Owens instead of preaching the gospel. It's faith as a psychological weapon. This brings us to the central, unresolved question that is tearing the movement apart. Was Charlie Kirk a victim of this infiltration? Was he a man who built a monster he couldn't control, or was he complicit in it from the very beginning? Some are even asking if the organization was fundamentally built this way from its inception under his leadership, a mind war project disguised as a student movement. Did Charlie outlive his usefulness to the architects of the mind war once the infrastructure was in place? Erica Kirk is now running the show, and she isn't moving like someone who's looking for answers about Tyler Robinson, the man accused of the shooting. She's moving like someone who finally has the keys to the kingdom. Sis is laughing all the way to the bank, seen hand in hand with celebrities like Nicki Minaj, while the base is left wondering if they've been soldiers in a war they didn't even know they were fighting. If this sounds absurd, just look at the patterns. Look at the mind war papers. Look at the whistleblowers who are risking everything to tell us that the showroom is empty and the backroom is full of shadows. This isn't just about politics anymore. This is about what happens when psychological warfare meets the pews of the American church. We are watching the deliberate aggressive convincing of an entire nation. Wait until we talk about the mind war philosophy further. It's defined as the deliberate aggressive convincing of all participants in a war that we will win. Valley and Aquino argue that ordinary warfare is a last resort. The real war is fought by seizing control of the national mind. And when you see 30,000 people at a merry fest taking selfies in a death tent, you have to ask, who is winning the mind war? Make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because we are going to follow the money on these mind war architects. Comment below. Do you think Charlie knew what he was building, or was he just the face for a deeper agenda? Let's talk.